So, my name is James Croft, and I have a bit of a confession to make. You heard my intro. I'm 28 years old, and I still don't have a proper job title. You remember how in school they used to tell you like half of the jobs that would exist and people would work in don't exist yet? Well, that's true, but it's also true that those jobs will be given stupid and ridiculous titles. So, my background is in TAFE Queensland. And I come from a background of helping people learn new skills. So that's sort of what TAFE has always been about. And originally, when I first started working in education, I was given this title because I was building online courses. So they called me a developer. When they gave me a permanent position there, they told me, hey, we need to put learning in the title and not make it sound so techy. So learning advisor came along. Let's get rid of the developer. Let's make me an advisor. Which personally I think made me sound a little bit like a counselor. Which is, you know, that's alright, I guess. The next job that I got was made clear to me that technology was a focus. So I guess I stopped being an advisor, started being a technologist. To this day, I still really don't know exactly what that means. To me, it sounds a little bit like someone who makes techno. Skrillex, brilliant technologist. Next job, which was outside government, was I was given this title, Learning Technology Specialist. It was weird because everyone in this company had the title of specialist at the end. Everyone was a specialist, which made me a little bit scared because I had this fear that there was a bunch of non-specialists out there lurking in a basement somewhere waiting to take us out. Here's the current one I have in my bio. It's getting a little bit closer to what I do, but really I kind of hate all these names. I think they're kind of self-serving wankery, but my job as I see it is to help teachers embrace technology in meaningful ways. That's it. That's what I do. So the next time I print business cards, I might just use what my friends and what a lot of, I'm sure your friends as well, know you as. Aren't we all IT support? So a little bit about my background, where I came from, TAFE Queensland. So TAFE has always had a really hands-on approach to learning and training. So my role within vocational education has been not only to help teachers adopt technology, but also to try and work out where it helps them best. So not just pushing them to technology, but trying to work out exactly how that works best for them. A really good example is hairdressers. The last thing you really want to think when you're lying back getting your hair washed or dyed is, hey, I wonder if this person got their certificate completely online. Trust me. I've had a couple of dodgy haircuts, so I should know. The theme of this conference is adapt or die, and TAFEs are actually going through this right now. So I'm not sure how many of you follow the vocational education scene, but TAFE's semi-kind of protected status is changing, and so next year there'll be full competition for funding. So for them it's really game on at this time, so there's a lot of adapting happening in that space. So I had a short stint in the mining industry after I left TAFE Queensland, but now I'm running my own small business, which is called GoMake, and I go around to all sorts of companies, so training organizations, TAFEs, schools, all sorts of places that are focused on learning, help them work out how best to apply technology to that process. So the reason I'm here today, I want to talk about big changes in education. The first thing that I think of when I think about changes is expectations. So student expectations are changing, and they're changing really fast. Our role as educators is to grab our students' attention, is to ignite their passions, is to inspire creativity and critical thought, and to tell the story. So I don't know if you guys know, there we go, sorry, on the slide behind. I don't know if you guys know this guy, Gary Vaynerchuk. Show of hands, anyone? Yeah, a couple people. So he's a marketing guy now, but don't hold that against him. he used to own like an online wine company and video podcast, but his message resonates in education too, which is why I like him. And he said it's our job to get the attention of students, or people, and the attention of our students is shifting. Where is it shifting to? All we really have to do is look around, and it's obvious. If you're ever on a bus, or if you're ever waiting around in a public space, you can tell right away it's mobile. Mobile is where people's attention is shifting. So we need to learn how to become a storyteller in that world that our students inhabit. So how did this information get to me? How did I see Gary talk about this stuff? Well, isn't it obvious by the thing we're seeing down the bottom there? Same place you see everything these days, and that's YouTube. So I wanted to talk about YouTube because YouTube, I feel like, is a huge change in education. In fact, I think it's one of the biggest change agents that education has seen in a really long time, maybe decades. I sat down when I was making this presentation, and I thought about what I should show you to highlight, the enormity of what YouTube can do for education, the potential, the lectures, the TED Talks, the Mars rover landings. But you know what? Education isn't always about those like big, inspirational, crazy things. Sometimes it's about the mundane stuff. Sometimes it's about the boring stuff. So I actually went back through my YouTube history and pulled out three things that I learned on YouTube in the last 3 days. This is the first one.
Dead simple. Into the table. Make a well in the
center. This is just a rip of Jamie Oliver's cooking show. I wanted to make some pizza bases, and I really didn't know where to start. And the last time I did this, it was a total disaster. So this is really cool. You actually just put flour down, and you kind of make a well, and then you tip all the extra stuff into the middle, and then you get a fork, and you kind of like drag it into the middle. I didn't know that, and so I looked it up on YouTube, and here's the clip, and I learned how to make pizza bases from YouTube. The second thing for me was I'm kind of a crappy guitarist. I'm not very good, but I wanted to learn the chords for the Dumb Ways to Die thing. So I found a clip on there. This guy's actually playing it on the ukulele, but you can. He actually has a guitarist version of this as well. It's just some guy. He loved the song. He wanted to show people how to play it, and it's a great clip. It's really, really well done. Helped me learn those chords. Now the third thing is that I've been listening to this record a lot. It's Modern Vampires of the City by Vampire Weekend. And there's a song called Ya Hey, where the lead singer says, "Who could ever live that way?" And then he says something that I couldn't work out. And when you've got a song and you can't really follow that one bit of the lyric and it's really annoying. So I went to YouTube to find out what it was. Couldn't find it anywhere on the lyrics sites. So went to the official Vampire Weekend YouTube channel and actually found it.
Through the flames, you won't even say your name. Only I'm. Who could ever live that way? What's your way? What's your?
Yeah, so I guess YouTube can't solve everything. I guess not even the band know what they say at that point. All right, so all this stuff is like incidental skills. It's like little bits of knowledge, small little things. They're helpful in their way, but you might be asking, like, where's the real meaty education stuff? So I wanted to talk as well, leading on from this, one of the biggest movements in education that came out of YouTube and grew up from there. Does anybody know what that is? Biggest educational channel in YouTube? Maybe? I'll give you a hint. It was started in 2006. Some guy's broom cupboard. Anybody recognize this guy? Couple people. His name's Salman Khan. And he founded Khan Academy. So Khan Academy is a website where their goal is to provide a free, world-class education for anyone, anywhere. Right now, they help around 6 million students each month. And that stat was from February, so that's going up and up and up. And they do video tutorials, video websites, and cover an absolute treasure trove of subjects. So you can see here is just a small sampling, but mathematics, biology, humanities, economics, finance, cryptography, all sorts of amazing stuff. And they're just growing like crazy. So their next steps are internationalizing the whole site. And they're also doing some really amazing work in America where they are aligning their content with the core standards, the American kind of common core standards. So they're starting to become this place where students can go to get work that not only helps them, but can lead to assessment outcomes. And they're also moving into prior recognition. So, you know, what do you know already and how can we help you from that? Here's me demonstrating that I'm almost certainly going to start this maths course at the start. Does anybody know how to solve a cubed root? And I don't. I've got this still open at home, and I'm hoping I can get back to it at some point. But the drive of Khan Academy is not just pouring info into brains, which is what Sal Khan describes it as. He says it's to give students the tools so that they can take agency over their own learning. You're not just feeding information to them, you're giving them the analysis skills and the critical thinking that they need to then be their own learner. Let's move on to one other place where a lot of people are getting an education these days. No, not the streets. You guys have been watching too much Breaking Bad. I'm talking about massive open online courses, or MOOCs. The reason I've got Tony and the boys up in the background is that I can't say the word MOOC without thinking about these guys. Education loves an awkward acronym. But a MOOC is a large free course that anyone can take online. Typically they're run by large organizations, universities. They're really quite a disruptive force in the educational space. Take a drink if you're playing the disruption drinking game. But especially for higher education, because no one really knows what to do with them just yet. Just quickly, here's 3 examples of MOOC platforms that are being run. First one is Coursera, very popular platform in the US. Being used in Australia by University of New South Wales and UWA, and University of Melbourne as well. Here's another one, edX, which ANU and UQ are using at the moment. And here's one that is sort of like a half MOOC. It's not exactly a MOOC, but it has an enormous amount of educational content on it. And it's something you might not think about. It's iTunes U. Deakin, Bond, Griffith, they've all got stuff published in iTunes U. I also wanted to highlight La Trobe in that because they're running some amazing full courses directly from iTunes U, doing some incredible stuff. It's really, really worth your time to go check them out. I could spend all day talking about MOOCs, but from a business perspective, from a teacher perspective, but one thing that you might not hear about too much is MOOCs from a student perspective or a user perspective. So as a user of MOOCs myself, I wanted to talk you through the stages of going into a MOOC. So the first one is the excitement stage. You see a lot of big names in education running MOOCs. That's really cool. You see Harvard and you go, oh my God, that's such a big name. World leaders in law and business. It's amazing. Then you see MIT and you go, incredible, so much technical prowess there. Think of the skills that I could learn from professors at MIT. And then you see Kyoto University and you think, I don't think I know anything about Kyoto University, but I bet it's really cool. And I could go for a holiday in Japan sometime. That would be awesome too. The next step is signing up. So education MOOCs are a bit like a buffet. I think that's a good equivalent. You see all this great stuff right here. Why not try some computer science? Sign me up for that? Yeah, no problem. Hey, sure, I'll take a philosophy. Why not? Load me up. And after that, we move on to the third step, which is the part where you vastly overestimate the amount of time that you have spare in your life, and you run out of time. And instead of being proactive, you quietly ignore the emails that are piling up in your inbox. Much like an actual buffet, I call this the shame step. Here's a snapshot from my shame step last year. The best part was when I got an email from Pamela. See it up the top there. And I thought to myself, I don't deserve Pamela. Also, I wonder who Pamela is. That's my shame step. So we move on to the fourth step, which is the backlash. Backlash from the educational community was when it was apparent that only a fairly small percentage of people actually complete these courses. And then there's the fifth step, which if you're on social media at all, you're probably familiar with, which is the backlash to the backlash. And then there's the sixth step, which is the backlash to the backlash to the backlash. But then you're very confused, and it's probably not best to include that one. But I think the main thing that I wanted to convey about MOOCs is that they're great if you're passionate about the material being covered. There are lots of problems, but we're really just getting started in this area. It's a big change. It's a fundamental change. So there may be killing higher education. That's something to think about. Or there may be a worldwide phenomenon that will save higher education. Or more likely somewhere in between. It's hard to tell at this point because we're really just getting started. But I think there's both some adapting and some dying going on, and that's kind of a good thing. So to round up today, I wanted to talk about knowledge entrepreneurs and this idea of knowledge entrepreneurship. All the things we've talked about today, YouTube, Khan Academy, MOOCs, they're all accessible to anyone with an internet connection, and they're mostly free. But I think if you're a passionate teacher, in the past you've really only had a small handful of options. You know, you can teach in a school, or you can go into training, or you can work at a uni. But that's not necessarily the case anymore. I think that there's like so many opportunities for us to build products around developing skills that people will pay for. We're really just scratching the surface in this area. So here's 3 quick examples of that. This is udemy.com. Quick show of hands who's used udemy.com before? A couple of hands. Cool. So I like to think of it as a bit of an app store for education. It's a place where anyone can sign up to run a course. You can upload your own material and video lectures. Works for pretty much any subject that you can create your own content for. The courses can be free or they can be paid. You can also charge what you like. So the site takes an app store kind of 70-30 split. So 30% to Udemy, 70% to you. And if it's decent and well made, they go on to feature it. So they'll send out their newsletter and they'll say, here's a great course. Or you can also plug it elsewhere, so they can give you a like a promo code, so you can like 20% off my course for this week only. Those sorts of things. So it's really got a lot of good hooks for marketing and being able to actually publish it on your own. I think it's a really smart idea, and it's very easily accessible because anyone can get into it. I wanted to highlight this guy whose name is Adrian. He has a business called the Farlanders, and I say business, and they are a business, but they're also just kind of 3 guys him and 2 other guys who really liked Minecraft, and they wanted to make an unofficial guide for Minecraft. So it took them months and months of work to write this guide. When I chatted to Adrian at the last count, it was about 54,000 words. So it was a fully fledged book, you know, very substantial. And they did that with the software iBooks Author. Now, iBooks Author is a free bit of software that if you've got a Mac, you can download from the Mac App Store now. It doesn't cost you anything. And it distributes iBooks to the iPad. So I say book, but it's really more like an interactive guide because you can embed interactive images, kind of beautiful layouts, kind of diagrams like drag and drop diagrams or interactive diagrams, all kinds of stuff. And really that didn't cost Adrian anything to actually put together because the software is free. The platform is free when you host with iBook Store. I mean, it's a 70-30 cut as well with Apple, but the biggest thing they really had to pay for was the ISBN number to publish this. Here's a couple of screenshots. Really is an amazing resource. And they actually sent it to Reddit. There's subreddits. The Reddit is a place where you can submit links and you get upvotes or downvotes. I'm sure heaps of you waste hours on it like I do. But there's a Minecraft sub-forum within Reddit, and they sent it to that, and it ended up getting over 3,000 upvotes, which then propelled it to the front page, which then got even more people looking at the guide. Really, really amazing. Just the momentum of that community is incredible. And you can see down the bottom there are just people going nuts and wanting an Android version of this, which means these guys, if they ever decide to turn that way, they've got a market ready and raring to go. The guide's called Blockade. There's a link there, and we'll shoot you straight to it if you have an iPad. And it's $3. It's $3. I can't. That's not a lot of money. That's almost nothing. But they sell, quite a lot of copies of that, and they do it worldwide. So they've taken this expertise, this skill, this knowledge that they have, and they're now starting to kind of make a living from that. If you have a computer in your house that you used to be able to access, and now you find it inconveniently camped out by a child who's playing Minecraft 24/7, you should buy this guide for them. It's really cool. The final one that I wanted to talk about was tools that you can use to sell your own skills. So this is sort of, I guess, getting into the realm of a bit more technical, but we've seen a bit from payment vendors in this conference and e-commerce businesses. But here's one I like. It's called Pin Payments, and it's a payment gateway processor. So they charge 3% and 30 cents per transaction. And what's nice about them is that you can pair them up with something like WordPress, build your content out in WordPress, and then from there you can get a plugin that works with Pin Payments, so you can accept payments from anyone, from anywhere. And if you're really feeling saucy, you could even make a subscription-based thing. So you can accept payments and you know, have a worldwide audience, and all that kind of, I guess, payment and e-commerce stuff can be handled that way. Pretty easy. Gives you the ability to completely roll out and host your own solution. There's no like 70-30 cut there. But there's a million variations on this theme as well. So you could swap out WordPress and have something else. You could swap out Pin for something else. There's just like a million different options there. And that's another way that if you're a knowledge entrepreneur, if you're someone who's got a skill and who loves teaching, that's a brilliant way to go. So I wanted to close on this, and this is the question that we originally posed. Let's flip this last word for a second. Not how, but why is online education changing? Why is online learning changing? It's changing because the world is changing. Most of the world, you know, the things that we interact with on a day-to-day basis now, they're online, they're mobile, they're more than just text and pictures in a browser. Our students expect more from us as educators, and they want us as educators to live in and inhabit their world. They want us to tell stories in their mediums. They don't want to step back in time when they hit a classroom. They want to leap forward. I guess you could say in other words, maybe I am a counselor after all.